what I started to do, and I realized, well, I've got this cool thing going with, you know, the rhythm guitars and the riff, and then the melody comes, and then a different guitar comes in for the bridge or the chorus, and then I have two other guitars come in for solos, and they trade off, and one's with a wah-wah and one isn't, and one's got a big M, one's got a small M, you know. It's all really a lot of fun when you're in the studio. But I thought that doesn't work with that image of the one guy being able to play the whole thing through without depending on 6 different guitar setups or changing things around you. And this is how the song started. So, I was just thinking about mixolydian again, and I came up with this. That's a simple riff that just keeps repeating. One of the first mistakes I made with it was I did that double tracking thing. And for a good year, we had this beautiful song with these double track guitars. The problem was that they would never stop asking for your attention throughout the whole song. And we had 2 different drummers come in and try to play to it. And it was just, I realized after a while, it's maniacal. It's ruining the song. And I think it was only because I liked playing it. That was the hardest part to admit, is like, I think it's there only because it feels cool to play. And I like the way that it looks, and that's like the 2 worst reasons ever, right? So I thought, okay, well, we got to, you know, somehow when we reconvened with a different bunch of guys, we went about deconstructing it and finding out what the essence of the song was. And so this song, Summer Song, was really about having only one of those guitars do that. And so that whole thing, that whole cachet of me saying, look what I can do, double-tracked, and it's a cool little riff and everything, and it's so mixolydian. I had to let that go. I had to realize people don't care about that. Only I cared about it. I experienced it. It's over. Now it's time to move on. Join the rest of the people in the world and turn it into a real song, and then you know, get this whole thing going. Now, here's the disclaimer for the last song, and with a tinge of sadness, because the producer who created the beautiful landscape of that song, Andy Johns, just recently passed away. And Andy had a very unique way of working in the studio, where even though he had, you know, guitar, bass, and drums and keyboards all recorded, it was all going out and jerry-rigged through this piece of gear and that piece of gear. And he used to turn it up louder than you could ever stand it, and lean into those monitors and turn all the dials until all of a sudden there it was. There was this beautiful rock and roll fantasy mix. You know, it was really uncanny what he could do. And last week before I came here, I had some of the original tapes, and I was listening to them, and they do not sound anything like the record, because what's on the tape actually is not how the stuff was processed. It was just sounded like just any old rock band playing this song, you know. And it had a history of guitars from way back when we started the record. So it was like a year and a half, almost 2 years of guitars in different studios and new drums and everything. So what I'm going to play you is a reduced version that I thought, well, I'm not even going to try to reproduce what Andy did. But it does remind me, as I come to the end of my practice session, right, getting ready to go on the tour, that this is one difficult song to play on the guitar. This whole idea that I had that one guitarist, as the listener would hear it, that same guitarist that started the song goes throughout the entire song and then finishes the song, is actually quite a tour de force for the fingers. There's an enormous amount of pushing and shoving and shaking and squeezing that I wasn't quite sure. I didn't really know I was getting into it until I had finished the whole song. And then I thought, wow, if people like this, I'm in trouble. Because I'm going to have to do this every night. Right? Anyway, but I still love playing the song because, again, it's just so much fun. So this is Summer Song for you.